Welcome back to Suburban Sex with Remy and Addie, a Hot Tub Brad production. Tonight we have a very special episode because we've got my girl Winter on the line, and she is joining us. She's giving us a whole different perspective with a whole different vibe and view on so many different things that Addie doesn't know. We're going to learn so much. I've known her about 15 years now. This girl and I have gone to grad school together. We're real profesh. We're super down. But we spent some good time together. And now we get to. I mean, we've had many girls' nights together, girls' weekends, all of that. But now you boys, Remy and Brad, get to enjoy some of the girl talk with us. So let's welcome Winter.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining.
Of course. And I think we were the only friends that either of us made in grad school.
That's correct. We made 0 other friends in the entirety of that school in the whole, 2-3 years we were in it? Yeah. No one else.
And you know what? I think it also shows that we made friends because I was like newly engaged and all excited about getting married.
Yeah.
And then you were going through a divorce.
Yes,
And so we were in 2 very different places, but like we became the bestest of friends despite it.
I know. And I love it. Yeah. We went through very different time then, and here we are, very different times now.
Exactly.
I know. But what has kept us going on so strong, one of the many things, is that we both love to talk about sex.
Yes, I will say we are probably the most vocal in our friend group.
Yes.
For sure.
We get to talking and people leave the room because they're like, "Ooh, that might be too much." And here we are. Let's put a microphone in front of us. Let's just go at
Yeah,
it.
for sure. And especially I tend to probably push the boundaries more so than anybody else. Be prepared. But yeah.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. If we can just kind of give our audience just a little bit of background on you. As you mentioned, when we met, you were just getting married. So how long were you married? Kids, all of that good stuff, and then what your where you are today, and kind of why we invited you, because there's a couple of reasons, fun reasons.
Definitely. But yeah, so I was married for I think almost 14 years. It gets a little fuzzy with the exact dates because we separated during
Yeah,
right when COVID started. And then the divorce itself actually took forever just because of COVID.
right.
But yeah, I think we were
Stupid
together.
COVID.
COVID, man. I think we were together maybe 17 years and married for about 14. So a
Okay,
solid amount of time.
that's pretty legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
solid amount of time. And
Yeah.
then have 2 kids. And so, yeah, have been divorced / separated for about 4 years now. And just living my best life. Like, that's really, I tell people that are going through that, I know this is about, married sex and all of that. But if you do find yourself in this situation, as sometimes happens, there is a
Mhm.
life after it, and it can be fun and it can be rewarding. And I say, kind of the best revenge is living your best life. Like that's
Yes.
all it is.
Amen, girl. Absolutely. Yeah. You are living your best life. You're enjoying every bit of it. And that's truly why we wanted to have you on, because you have learned so much along the way about yourself, about what you want, what you don't want. And these are things that we can also learn in our married suburban lives as well, of what else is out there that maybe we haven't tried, what we haven't really thought about before. Maybe we have a different stigma or perspective on it that we haven't really like opened our minds up to. And if we are lucky enough to be married for 40-50 years with the same partner, we're gonna have to keep spicing it up and taking it up a notch. So how can we start to do that? But who best to answer that than someone who gets to like have the freedom to do it, and not have any of that extra baggage or what have you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the sex that I have now is very different than the sex I had in my marriage. It's
Okay,
vastly
let's
different.
dive into
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Okay.
Vastly different. And I think a big piece of that is we did not have trust and we did not have great communication. And I
Mhm.
think those two things are what really make a relationship and really make a marriage and really then can spice up your sex life.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that just a little bit for us married guys who may be just a little slow? Expand on that just a little bit.
Definitely. And like, I don't want to go into all the ins and outs or issues of my marriage,
Sure.
but like I said, we didn't have that good trust. We didn't have that great communication. I think he may have been someone that might have wanted to spice things up, might have wanted to try different things in the bedroom. Um, the sex that we had was very vanilla. It was not often because, again, like we didn't like neither of us probably really liked each other. And like you don't want to have sex with someone
Mm.
you don't like. There was a
Yeah.
lot of resentment, there was a lot of issues, there was bad communication. Like all of those
Yeah.
things, especially for women, play into do I
Mhm.
want to have sex?
Yeah.
Can I ask what age y'all got married?
I was 25, he was 27.
And do you think there was maybe like a difference in maturity when you started versus when it ended?
Definitely.
Because I feel like if I'd gotten married at 25, I would have been a terrible husband.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't think we would
I
have
think most
lasted.
guys are not fully formed at 25.
For sure. And I think
Yeah.
too, like going back, I don't know that I would have gotten married in my 20s. Like, you're so dumb in your
Right.
20s. Like, you know nothing.
Mhm.
You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want to be. You know nothing. But again, if you don't have that trust and communication and are willing to grow together and change
Yeah.
together, you know, it, it's,
Mhm.
it does not set you up for success, like at all.
No. And there truly could be listeners out there that married in their 20s and can grow together, but I think it's rare. I just don't think it's as feasible for as many people. I think when you are in your 30s, you have a better grounding and understanding of who you are, what you want to be, what you want for yourself, let alone what you want for a family. So I think some people can make it work, but I feel like it's rare, and it was definitely not me because we got married in like 22 is when I had my first marriage. So I got divorced around 25 when you got
Mhm.
married. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. You're
Yeah.
dumb. I'm
Crazy.
so like,
Yeah.
not you. Everyone's dumb. Like
Yeah. Oh,
everyone in
I
their
loved
20s is
it.
dumb.
It's me. That's good.
um,
Yeah,
so
you're
like
dumb.
a random fun fact is also I'm an ordained minister, and so I've married like
Mm.
20.
What?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, Reverend
Yeah.
Winter.
Yes.
So I've married a little over 20 people. And one of my friends that I married, I loved this analogy that they used was to be an H in your marriage. And so you're both individual people with that thing that brings you together. And so you don't want to be turning into an A. You don't want to be growing apart. You want to continue growing together with those common things and those common goals. And yeah,
Oh.
I think that's such a wonderful analogy for marriage.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
B&H.
Okay, so let's get down to the fun stuff. So when you got divorced is typically when a woman will kind of find herself, find her um sexual energy, I suppose. I don't know what.
It's called a hoe phase, and it's okay.
Oh,
It's
there you
called a hoe
go.
phase.
That's what it is. Okay.
See, I've been
I'm with
trying to get
ya.
the wife to go through the hoe phase for a while, you know. How do you
You can
promote
have a
that,
hoe.
you
I
know?
think you can be married and have a hoe phase. Like, I think
There
it's
you
fine.
I hope so.
And
go.
I tell, if I've got friends that are going through a divorce, I encourage it. I'm like, have the hoe phase. Like, be a hoe, and it is
Yeah.
okay to be a hoe. Be a responsible hoe. Like,
Be a
buy
responsible
your
hoe.
own
Yes.
condoms. Prep. Prep is
Mhm.
free. Prep, it's an HIV preventative. There's no reason people should be getting
Yep.
HIV. It's free.
Yep.
And get
Yep.
tested. And it's okay.
Mhm.
Be a responsible hoe. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't think. Like,
Right.
Feel like we need to play some ludicrous somehow with all this, you know? All this
There
hoe
you
talk.
go.
for sure. And so, yeah, it's the
Mhm.
responsible hodom. But I will say I have learned responsible hodom.
Nice.
Responsible hodom.
Who's good doing the bumper stickers? This is amazing.
I
For
love
sure.
it.
But yeah, I think it's, for me, it's taught me a lot about myself. It's opened up who I am sexually. It's taught me what
Mhm.
I want, what I don't want, what I'm willing to deal with and not deal with. And
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Where was this when you were married? Like, are any of these things that you're enjoying now, are they things that you thought back when you're married that you thought, hey, maybe I would like this, but I don't feel comfortable trying it? Or is it all brand new in your
there's
brain?
a lot that's brand new because I think too at 25, didn't have a ton of experience, right? And you kind of
Yeah.
don't know what you don't know. And again, if you don't have
Mhm.
that trust and communication, it's hard to come to your partner and say, like, hey, I want to try something new. I want to try this like really
Mhm.
freaky deaky thing. Um,
Mhm.
because you're like, what are they gonna think about me? Are they not going to like this? Are they gonna think I'm weird? Are they going to, there's so many things that go through your head if you don't already have
Mhm.
that foundation of trust and open communication.
Yeah.
So, what was the transition point? I imagine immediately after divorce, you're kind of dealing with that. You get
Open
out
for
of that.
business.
Well, then how do you get transition to where all of a sudden I'm gonna try something more freaky, as you said? You know, it's like where how does that work? And is there a way that, or I'd just love to
I
hear
mean, it's
how that
it's called
happened.
Tin it's called Tinder. It's called Tinder.
Oh, there you
Explain.
go.
Oh, it's called Tinder. Um, but no,
Okay.
I think I was really fortunate and that some of the first people because for real, like when I first separated and was dating, I was not looking for a relationship, right? Like I was
Right.
looking for one thing. Um, but
Mhm.
I think I was very fortunate in that I had some really wonderful partners that knew a lot and were willing to teach. And, it was just a really kind of great learning experience in a way. And it opened a lot of doors and things for me. So I think
Yeah,
kind of
nice.
one of the first people I slept with post separation, like he just kind of like moved me in certain ways and like did certain
Mm.
positions. And like he just kind of knew like what to do. And I was like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know that works like that. So
Hmm.
I think it's yeah.
Makes sense because, if you've been in a long term relationship for a decade, 15 years, you kind
Mhm.
of know all the moves and what to expect, and the routine is the same. I'm just trying to figure out how to apply that to that long term relationship where, it is stale, but it's comfortable. Where
Right.
this is
Comfortable.
truly not. It's the
It goes
opposite.
back to like there's four, right? Like y'all talked about there's four positions that everyone kind of
Our
has.
core
Your core
4.
four, right? Like you
Yeah.
kind of know what works and what's solid
Mhm.
and what's going to get you there, and you try to make it efficient, which like it happens when you're married and it happens when you have young kids and you've got a time crunch and you're
Yeah.
like, I need to do this to make it work. Right? Like you fall into this
Mhm.
rut.
Yeah.
And I think it's, find ways to spice things up. Get a little Kama Sutra book. There's the sexual position dice. Roll it out and see, like, okay, let's just try this one.
Yeah.
Let's,
Just to
yeah,
do it.
that's the thing. You've
Yeah.
got to find the time to do it. That's what's hard when you're married with
Yeah.
kids. Just finding the time to do it.
with young kids. I know. And I do think it gets a little bit better as the kids get older and they find some independence and we find more time for it and all of that. But that's another story. Let's get back into the freaky stuff. Let's have some fun. Come on, Remy and Brad, this is
Yeah.
what you want to hear. Yeah, let's hear the good stuff. Okay.
We're just so intrigued of the journeys, but yes, I
I
do want to hear the
know.
stories.
I know.
I
Yeah.
just want to fully understand her. It's awesome.
I don't know that I fully understand me.
I can relate to that.
My therapist might have some things to say
That.
about that.
I know. Truly. Okay, so multiple positions is like the first
Yeah.
piece. You're with someone who's moving your body around in a different way. It's something new and it's spicing things up. It's also spicy for someone else to be in the room, but also like this all could be applied, of course, to a marriage situation as well. Just moving things around differently. Okay, so that's one piece. Then how did things kind of progress from there?
So again, it was I joke I will try anything twice. Because the first time, like, things can be weird, right? Like, let's try it a second time and see if it goes a little better and decide if we like it or not.
Yeah.
And so again, it was probably one of those first kind of people I dated that was a dom. And so kind of introduced me to the BDSM side of things. And he, again, was someone that had done a lot of education, had gone to, like, there are classes, there are meetings, there are courses, there are all kinds of things.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
All kinds of things.
Okay, let me take a moment because me personally, I don't even know what BDSM means. Like, I could Google it, I'm sure, but if y'all know the actual what is it all mean?
Bondage,
Do we know? We could Google it.
Domination,
sadomasochism.
Yeah.
Okay. So the suburban, I'm sure, view of BDSM could be that it's like this whole different world. It's all these people who like are hurting each other. So kind of help us break it down into what it actually is in real life.
And I mean, it's a pretty wide spectrum. And again, I am not like an expert on any of this.
More than us.
I've had experience. And again, I had someone that was like very much, and I think this is such a difference in what I told friends. I was like, it's so different than just kind of being with someone that wants to like pull your hair or spank you or choke you a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was very
it was time out. Or choke you a little bit. I love that.
There's a proper way to choke people too.
Oh my!
You don't want to cut off air supply. It's about blood supply. You don't want someone passing out. Yeah.
Winter, this is amazing. Okay,
the things I have learned.
I know. Right?
And so yeah, he and I spent a lot of time just talking through what
journaling,
what we wanted, what we didn't want, what I was okay with, what I was like, down to like what I wanted to call him. Like, did I want to call him sir? Did I want to call him master? Did I want to call him daddy? Did I, like, as the dominant person, like, what are you okay with? Because some people, like, I don't do age play. I don't want to call guy daddy. I don't want him calling me baby girl. Like, that's, especially having kids, like, that's weird. Like, I don't want that.
So, quick question. Is your personal interest more on the sub side?
I do. I'm a bit of a switch, and I can be a little bit of a brat in the right situation, but I'm definitely more submissive, and I can go into explaining that too.
Okay. Please,
I was
please.
just curious because he seems like he was a dom where, you know, if you also were a dom, it seems like that attraction wouldn't
Yeah.
be there. Or guys that have this experience, do they just have subdar where they can kind of pick out someone with that natural
Subdar. Oh
I
my
tendency?
think
I don't know what
again
gosh.
that
that comes up
is.
in those conversations that you're having with someone, because it's very,
Yeah.
and what I like about kind of kink lifestyles is it's very open and it's very consensual, and the communication is there because you have to
Okay.
feel safe in that situation. Like if you're gonna have someone tie you up and beat the shit out of you, like you gotta trust that person, right?
Oh my gosh, weird.
You
Are they hitting and stuff?
sometimes, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it depends
Okay.
on what
If
you're
if they
into,
want them
and
to,
it's not,
Yeah,
right?
only
and
if they
that's the
want him to.
thing is
Yeah.
BDSM is not all about pain and being hurt or being hit or slapped or whatever.
Okay.
Like there's pleasure joms, and they just want to please somebody. They just want to give you compliments and make you feel like a god or a goddess and worship you. Like it's
Oh, I want
Oh,
yeah,
that.
so
I
that
want
sounds
it's
like
that.
it's
me, honey.
very much like BDSM
It's like I'm gonna be a pleasure
can
dom when I
yeah,
grow up.
it can vary. It's so much of it's about power, right? And the power
Okay.
dynamics, right? Which is again
Mhm.
what I enjoy about it. Like I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
I'm like a working woman. I'm out there making decisions all day. I'm in charge of
All
everything.
day.
I got to keep everything, all the balls in the air. I got to keep everything going, right?
Mhm.
And then to give myself up completely to someone and to
Mhm.
have to make no decisions. And
So
Right.
you just show up and they just tell you what to do,
yeah,
and
it,
that's
it's
the appealing
it
part.
can be very like very hot, very hot. Like just
Oh
be
my
told what to
gosh.
do, and they actually call it like
Yeah.
getting a sub high. Like there's kind of like a little process, and it could be different again depending on the dynamic of like breaking that individual to get them into the right mindsets. And that's where a lot of the like you get pleasure from the pain, like you get this
Mm.
high, and so even though you might be getting hit by something, like it doesn't hurt, or like you're appreciating that it's doing something for that individual. So
Mm.
it's yeah,
Interesting.
can be very, yeah, I don't know, there's something very sexy. So yeah, it's very different. So again, the first time this person and I ever had something together, again, it was kind of that breaking process. Like we agreed to these things, what we were going to be called. We agreed to safe words. I am very big on, and he was too, like red light, green light. And so red is a hard stop.
Mm.
Red is hard stop.
Okay.
Yellow means change it up. Green means we're good,
Okay.
right?
That's
Yeah.
smart. I
So
like that.
very, you don't need to be like pineapple, kumquat. Like it doesn't need to be
Right.
something weird. Um,
Shit, what's that word?
red light, green light, baby. It's easy.
I like that. Yeah, yeah,
And so
that's
and
good.
he was a sadist. Like he likes to call, he gets pleasure through pain.
Like
Oh.
he likes whipping
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh
whips,
my gosh.
canes. Um, there's like cattails. There's
Okay.
crops. I mean, there's tons of things. Paddles,
Can
tons
I
of things.
can I ask a
Sure.
dumb guy question right now? So this
Mhm.
guy, he enjoyed whipping you, caning you,
Mhm.
whatever. In your session with him, like, does he have an orgasm at any point? Is there
Yes. Yes.
he
Mhm.
does.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all like the foreplay
Yeah,
part.
it can be foreplay, or they might get off from causing that. I think it depends on the individual,
Oh.
right?
But
Okay.
like if he got off, it'd be like with his hand because you're
Yeah.
tied up,
Yeah.
right?
Or I
Mhm.
could be tied up and like pleasing him, right, with my mouth. Or tied up and
Yeah.
he's fucking
Yeah.
me. Yeah, like there's
Mhm.
lots
Okay.
of ways
Okay.
it
Mhm.
could happen. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the first time like he hit me, right? It was
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna hit you. On a scale of 1 to
Okay.
10, what was that? That
Right.
was a 5. Okay. where do you want to go? What's your max?
Okay.
And so again, like if you're looking to get into that, that's again, it's building trust. It's the communication. Like I
Yeah.
am saying, and today it might be a 5, next time it might be a 7. It can vary. And so
Right.
you've got to like go through those steps with that person to again build
Mhm.
trust, have that communication, because that's such a big part of that BDSM kind of dynamic is that trust.
How long did it take to develop that level of trust from when you met this person to when
Mm.
you felt comfortable with him hitting you, you know? Because I mean, that's a big
Yeah.
step.
Right.
He and I talked for a while. I mean, sometimes it can be pretty quick. Again, my career that I have, and just who I am as an individual, I can get a pretty good read on someone off the bat.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I think it depends. It depends on the people involved and how
Yeah.
comfortable you are.
But you felt that trust with
Yeah.
him where you felt like you could give that to
Hmm.
him and him not only listen to what responses you have, but kind of work with that.
Exactly. And a good dom knows that the sub is in charge.
Yes.
And
Yes. I
you
saw that on one of my
yeah,
Facebook
the
groups.
sub is in
Yeah.
charge, and the sub
Mhm.
can end it at any
Mhm.
time. They're saying, "Yes, you can do this to me."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what
So
I'm
I
trying to figure out is bringing it back to people in long term relationships. What can they learn? Because clearly, in a long term relationship, trust was difficult. But then in this new situation with a new person, they gained your trust pretty fast. So, what can we
Mhm.
as guys in long term relationships learn? Because clearly, a lot of us aren't doing something right across the board. You know, it can be from, you know, not being emotionally available, or is there something more to
Yeah, I
this?
think
Mhm.
too, like obviously he and I didn't have a history. I think that's really what plays
Sure.
into trust in a marriage is that history, right? That you've got with someone
Mhm.
and that investment you have with someone. And so it's like they've always thought this about me. We've always done things this way. If I introduce this new thing, how are they going to react? And so I
Right.
think it's again having that communication, talking about sex. Addie, I think you told me that you and Brad like recap sex afterwards
We do.
sometimes, which I think is fantastic, right? Like you have to talk about it. You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
This worked, this didn't. I liked this. I didn't like this. I
Mhm.
want to try this,
Mhm.
right? So I
Right.
think that's a big
Yeah.
piece of it. And I think it's why I love that y'all are doing this is you're talking about
Yeah.
sex and it's okay to talk about sex. You should talk about sex. You should want to talk
Right.
about sex.
Right.
Like
Amen.
everybody's doing
Amen, sisters.
it.
Yes.
Like let's talk about it.
I know.
Like
I love it. I
and
love it.
I think that's so much of the problem. So I think at
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
the basis, communication, right? You've got to have
Right.
good
Right.
communication. Good communication builds trust. And so
Mhm.
it might be
Mhm.
just talking about like, hey, how was that? Well, did you like this? Did you not?
Right.
And just start having
Yeah.
those conversations and then introducing things like saying like, you know what? How can we spice things up? I'm going to do a little
Mhm.
research on something. Or maybe we pick this
Yeah.
topic and we both do a little research and say, I want to
Mhm.
try this or not try this, or this sounds good or it doesn't sound good. It's, starting
Right. Right.
starting the
Do you
conversation.
think do you
Mhm.
think the 50 Shades of Grey factor played into what you enjoy right now?
God, I read 50 Shades of Grey like forever ago and I thought it was hot,
Right.
but it wasn't something I wanted to do with my ex-husband or my partner at that time
Right. Mhm.
because again, it goes back to the trust
Yeah.
communication, all of that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you were in a long-term relationship and had that trust, had not tried it before, I think it is something if you're having those regular conversations, it's something that you can bring up and you we have to if we're having enough conversations about sex with our partner, I think that we can be vulnerable enough to
Mhm.
say, hey, remember that podcast with Winter about BDSM? She was saying that the sub has all the control. It's not all about the dom and like hitting or pain or anything. It's a little something different. And it may sound weird to say, but like, what if we tried this little paddle? What if we tried this little, hair pulling or whatever? Like, I think it just has to kind of start naturally where like, I could absolutely go to Brad and be like, okay, if we tried it, what role do you think you would play? What role do I think I would play? And maybe
Oh, I
we
know.
each try. I know. He knows me too
I
well.
I know what Pillow Princess is doing.
But I mean, maybe it's something like you start off with some restraints, right? Like you start
Yes,
off like with
right.
just they make the underbed restraints, or you can use
Mhm.
don't use silk anything because it tightens too much.
Oh,
But there's yeah,
hot tip from
I'm telling
Winter.
like
Thank
this
you,
guy, and
girl.
he even went like so far as like, do you have a grass allergy? Because using certain types of rope, right? Grass made rope, like
Oh
I mean,
my
it was
gosh.
I went to a rope tying
yes.
class one time,
Oh,
and
Oh,
exactly.
Remy.
it's not that
It's not.
easy, and you have to get special types
Yes.
of rope too.
There's certain
So it's
ways to
not like you just
tie.
go to
Yeah.
the Home Depot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Certain ropes too
unless you know what you're looking for.
slippery. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. But again, that's a great way, Remy, to like kind of introduce things. Is there are classes for this stuff. Like
Yeah.
get on.
Mhm.
There's a wonderful website called FetLife, and it covers lots of
Okay.
kinks, BDSM, like all
What is
Hey, did you
anything
like
and
fet? What
everything.
does fet
Fet
mean?
life
Oh,
fetish.
fetish.
Oh, look
Oh, got
at
it before she
Addie.
Addie
Addie
knew
knows.
knew
it. Oh my
something.
gosh.
Woo!
Addie does know. Oh my god, I just figured that out.
Addie does know, after all.
Fet life. Fet life.
I figured it out before Brad. I am so proud of myself. Where's my applause? Jeez. Come
Addie
on,
knows.
honey.
There it is.
Addie knows.
Well
Addie knows before
done.
Brad.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
nice.
FetLife.
Fet
Is
life.
this like a Reddit or
It's a
something?
little like there's message boards, there's communities, there's
Oh, okay.
so it's educational. It's a lot of cities
Okay.
have like again groups, and so a lot of times in those cities, like they will talk about classes that are coming up.
Okay.
And the classes are very vanilla. It's not like you're going to walk in and there's people wearing collars and chains and latex or anything like that. It's like we're going to go meet at
Okay.
Panera and talk about our kinks. Like it's
No
very, very
way.
Wow.
basic, very vanilla, very, you would have no idea unless you were like
Oh my
listening in on the
gosh.
conversation.
It sounds like our new
Yeah,
audience.
Oh
it's a
my
real thing.
gosh, this
So
is
we need to
cool.
advertise in FetLife. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
But
All
Or
like,
at
right, these are
Panera Bread,
people who
and
Remy.
didn't
sometimes
know.
Or at
Or
Panera.
what's
Panera.
real funny is like in the kink community, sometimes they're called munches. Like it's called a munch.
What
A
is
munch.
that?
That's like a vanilla meetup of kinksters
Oh my god.
talking
That's
about
really
A
cute.
munch.
whatever.
It's a fully clothed meeting
Yeah.
where he's
It's
hanging out.
and
Oh
that's for
my
like any kind of lifestyle stuff. Like swingers get together. They're like,
gosh.
"Oh,
Okay.
hey, we're all going to go to happy hour." And you would have no idea. There's just this random group of people
Yeah.
having drinks, talking, getting to know each other, and that's all it's about. And it's
Oh
very
my
open. It's like,
goodness.
hey, I'm interested in learning about this. So like they might like say like, hi, I'm Winter and I'm into spanking. And so Addie can say like, oh hey, I'm kind of interested about spanking. Can you tell me more? And so it's like you can
Okay.
talk to like an expert in a way about it. And it's just there
Oh my
Signing
to
her up right
learn,
goodness.
now.
to learn. And so maybe it's that. Maybe you do that. A lot of the like classes are online now because of COVID,
Yeah.
that has carried on. So you don't even have to go and like see people if you don't want to see people. Like if you're scared of
Right. If
meeting
you're scared
people,
of
you
it.
can just take a class online.
Let me also like make a recommendation for those of you who are married in long-term relationships. I like this FetLife idea. I like this whole let's do some research, but I highly recommend boys you do that research with your partner. Don't spend hours upon hours, days upon days digging in to something and then you bring your partner in at the last minute. She's going to see that as something that she's an
Mm-hmm.
outsider to.
It's true. Very true.
if Brad had gone through all of this research without me and then brought me into the fold much later, I feel like I would already have been behind in the conversation. I think it would be harder for me as a wife of 10 years to be accepting of some sort of kink or something that he's into if he has been researching it for however long, and now I'm like a last minute invite, I'm coming to the party late. So
Yeah.
as your wife, Brad, I would want you to, it's hard to do because we have to be vulnerable with each other, but I would really want you to maybe kind of slightly bring it up here or there, and then, hey, there's this site I saw, can we look at it together?
And
Yeah. I agree. I I don't know how, like, if so from a guy's perspective, we've been thinking about this for years. This is something
This
we
as
want
in
to
sex?
do.
or being
Or
This is
the
a
kink?
dominating.
this is a kink we have,
Okay, okay.
and so the trick for us is to casually introduce it in
Mhm.
not a way that freaks y'all out,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so that's hard to do. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you think about the timing that you'd have to have. I mean, it would be like in the end of a vacation once life is totally
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
Then you might could bring it up. But in real life, how do you transition from stressed about the kids to, hey, let's go
Mhm.
to the red
But
room and
I
put
think
on the
that's
outfit?
where
You know, it's just
again, you're talking about just things in general, what you like, what you don't like. Is there something you
Right.
want to try that's new? A very big thing is
Mhm.
do not yuck on someone's yum. Do not yuck on someone's yum.
Ooh, good
Might not be
one.
your
what
thing. That's fine.
was
agreed.
that?
Everybody likes their own thing. Do not yuck
Yuck
on their
on
yum.
someone's yum. Hmm.
Do not
I
yuck on their
like
yum.
that.
Brilliant.
That is brilliant. That's gonna be the title of the show.
Do not yuck on someone's yum.
I like that. But we digress. We were talking about the communication aspect. So Winter, back to even just the whole BDSM world. We kind of talked a little bit about how best to introduce in a long-term relationship. So it's having those like little conversations throughout. It cannot be just something you throw at your spouse for, out of nowhere. I think that would cause some issues and some stress. Really, it's that anxiety of not knowing. So if there's anything else that you can share about the experience that like has been really great for you, that has kind of rid that anxiety, that maybe others just, like we hear something like that, and we kind of need a myth buster. We need something that's like, hey, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's not as crazy as it sounds. This is actually something that's a new aspect you can introduce in your sex life without it being too wild and
Yeah,
far out
definitely. And
there.
I will say, like, I know in our heads, it's like anytime you think of kinky people or BDSM people, it's like you're thinking latex, you're thinking chains and whips and like dungeons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like these are teachers and accountants and like a lot of kinksters. I'm not even kidding. So many like kinksters, swingers people, they're like, I'm really into tabletop gaming and I want to go play D&D. Like they're nerds. Like very,
Stop. Oh my
very normal
gosh.
people. Like they're very normal people.
Uh-huh.
They just have this little side.
Mhm.
And I think it's again, like we think sex is so taboo and like if you want to do something other
Mhm.
than missionary, like or sex is for procreation, like you must be a like something wrong with you, and it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. A
You
hoe
know?
bag.
It's not. It's so like normal. Like I think I learned recently, but like in the past few years, like the reason like foot fetishes are so common is there's like in your brain, like the sexual part of your brain and like the foot receptor in your brain are like right next to each other. And so those wires get a little crossed. And so that's
Oh.
why foot fetishes are like the number one fetish.
Yeah.
And so it
Mhm.
doesn't make you weird.
Mhm.
Like you like what you like and it's
Right.
okay. Um, but again,
Mhm.
it's starting that dialogue in a safe,
Mm-hmm.
easy way. It's getting to know
Right.
your partner. It's, does a lot of women, and I'm sure some men too, like they want to be praised. Like they want to be told they're,
Yeah.
good job. And maybe, that woman's got some body issues. And even though you're like, you're beautiful and I love your body and I love your curves, if she's not feeling sure, that might not be good for her. But like if you start praising other things she's doing,
Mm-hmm.
like with the kids or around the house, maybe that's something. Maybe the guy wants to hear that from his wife.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's finding those
Mm-hmm.
things that work for you. It's not all about pain.
Yeah.
It's not all about, it's not scary. It can be like pleasure.
Right.
It can be degrading. Something I'm not into is like the
Mm-hmm.
degradation piece.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people that want to be called, terrible names. They want to be treated like an animal or a piece of furniture. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not going to yuck on someone's yum. If that's what does it for them, great.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for me. Like we're not going to be a great match.
Right.
Can can I,
Mm-hmm.
can I ask a
Yeah.
dumb guy question about that? So, have you encountered guys that want you to
Hmm.
degrade them, and do you have any insight about what why is that a turn on? Why do you think some people are into that? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
foreign to me.
I'm not sure. I don't know that I've like delved that far into it with
Yeah.
someone. I will say like a lot of it, and sometimes even being like submissive again, like I am a woman that makes a lot of decisions. Like I'm always in control. I'm always in charge. So giving something up like feels so good, right? And so a lot of times it can be really
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic. Um, I
Yeah.
talking with the Dom that I was involved with, he had a woman that again, like it was kind of therapy, and she didn't like being called certain things, like they were kind of trigger words for her, especially in the workplace. And so it was like a therapeutic
Okay.
thing. So sometimes it could be like maybe they're working through something. Maybe it's sometimes
Yeah.
I'm in the mood and I just wanted someone to kind of use
Hmm.
me, like, like,
Yes.
sometimes those
Yeah.
things are
Yeah.
hot. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm just like in the mood, like, call me that name. Like,
Right.
I just want to be your toy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be it,
Mm-hmm.
like for them.
You don't really know what's going to ring the bell until
Right.
you're in a comfortable
Mm-hmm.
situation with someone where you can test
Mhm.
boundaries and
And there
whatnot.
is
So,
again,
Mm-hmm.
there's things out there. There's tools out there. There's a whole BDSM quiz where you can find out like I'm a rope bunny, I'm a sadist, I'm a switch, I'm a brat. I'm into these things.
Oh my God. I don't know what any of that is.
There's you can
All right,
Google.
all right.
That's a
Tell us
whole nother
about this
thing.
quiz, because what if we all go and do this quiz before our next episode, and
Yeah,
then you can kind of tell us what our top
yeah.
couple things might be and help explain some of these words, because Addie clearly doesn't know.
I mean, I'll be real. Like I didn't know a lot of these things, and so it's
Okay.
okay to Google.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay to Google.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary is a
Right.
great resource sometimes. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think
Well, if the quiz is like, "Are you a rope bunny?" I'm gonna be like,
no.
"I don't
So
know."
it
So
asks,
I'm sure it
yeah,
asks
it
different
asks
questions.
very easy,
Yeah.
very like. I mean, they're almost a little vanilla. Like it's like, do you like being treated like this? Do you like being prey? Do you like being a predator? Do you, like
Mm.
it's kind of asking likes and
Okay.
dislikes, and then it
Okay.
it spits out like a whole spectrum. Again, it's a red light, green light thing. So green are things you're really into. There's like the
Yeah.
yellow, and then a red. Um, there's
Okay.
also kind of another good resource again to open up with your partner about it. And I've done this when I've met other kinky partners that are wanting to kind of get into this or explore this. Um, there's like a whole kind of like it's a spreadsheet. It's just like a Google spreadsheet that you download. It
It's a
is. I
spreadsheet.
I
love a
love
good spreadsheet.
spreadsheets.
And then whoever made a kinky
Girl, me
spreadsheet, like,
too.
whew,
We are freaks in the sheets.
exactly.
The
Freak in the
spreadsheet.
sheet.
Is there a pivot table involved?
No,
Mm.
but
You just asked me to VLOOKUP, baby, and I'm in.
I did. I think like the version that's on the website is it's a little old, or it's been messed with probably, and so some of the things don't like drop down
No.
like they did. And so someone I sent it to, like he redid it all, and he's like, now it drops down, and I'm like, that's so hot. Look at you.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let's put all these in the show notes.
For
Oh,
I'm
sure.
sure our
definitely.
listeners, if they do their quiz before the next episode, maybe you'll
Mhm.
hear something you are as we have our next discussion.
And Remy, let's make sure everyone does these quizzes with their spouse. I think this
Yeah,
needs to be a
definitely.
joint
And
effort.
the spreadsheet one, and there's probably a lot that you will need to Google on it. There's a lot.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
like, there's kind of like two columns, and there's one like I've tried this or I haven't tried it. And then you can talk
Okay.
about like, this is a hard no for me. Like I have some hard no's. But I also have some things that are like, if it does it for you, I'll try it. Or like, haven't really tried this, but I'm willing to
Yeah.
try it. And so again, it's just kind of another way to start that discussion with your partner.
Mhm.
But again, you've got to have that
Okay.
open, safe place to have those discussions with your partner.
It's amazing to me. Amazing that you can have that relationship with someone who's new-ish in your life, but feel comfortable enough with them that they have so much control over you in that moment. You are in a very vulnerable state, but to your point, the sub is the one who has the most power there. So also a mom who makes a lot of decisions and is very a busy working mom during the day. I also feel like that would be my go-to, is to be the sub, also because Brad calls me a pillow princess. But either way, I think I would do that over being a dom. So like for me, Winter, like I'm curious, what are the aspects of it that like really turn you
Yeah, again,
on?
it's the giving up control. It's like
Okay.
letting your mind go blank. Um,
Mm,
knowing what I'm doing is giving this person pleasure. Um,
okay.
just yeah, it's again, it's such a power dynamic. All parts of it, whether there's pain or pleasure
Yeah.
or praise involved, it's that power dynamic. And like just giving up that
Okay.
control is what turns me on.
Mhm. Okay.
And can I ask, like, specifically in a generic situation that you've been in, um, like, is it like a whip, or is it like a spanking, or is there a specific thing, or like
Yeah.
what's the actual thing going
And it,
on
it
is what
all
I'm asking.
depends. It depends. Like you can have it kind of in that world, again, you call it a scene, right? And so you can have very
Okay.
elaborate scenes that maybe go on all night. There are people that do this 24/7. Like this is their lifestyle. This is
What?
what they want. Um, I I just think it's a fun every now and then. Like I really enjoy some plain
Okay.
old sensual vanilla sex. Like that's probably my preference.
Yeah.
But every now and then it's fun to
Okay.
experiment and try something new. Um,
Mhm.
and so,
Mhm.
yeah, it can be, I would say most scenes deal with kind of that breaking to get that submissive person into that right state of mind. And then there's a whole piece of where the Dom is getting what they want from that person. Um, and then they take care of the sub. Um, And so that's a
Yes,
very
I've heard about
yeah,
this. The
so it's both
aftercare.
people are still gonna get off. Like everyone's getting off. But
Okay.
then after that,
Okay.
the aftercare is such a big piece. And so it's,
Mhm.
in a scene where yes, I was hit by like a cane. And so in the aftercare, he, we showered. He looked over for like any broken skin, took care of any broken
Mm.
skin, got a little snack, got some water. We cuddled. I mean, there's
Just
there's
snack.
a
Yeah.
lot that goes into
Yeah.
it. Um,
There's
yeah, it's
snacking
you want to
involved.
make sure
Okay.
because sometimes like
I
there's
Good.
a
mean,
lot that like can go into that, right? It's a high, and if you've
mhm.
sometimes maybe have experimented with substances, right? Like, and you got real high, like the down from that can be a lot, and there might be a recovery period from it. And so it's that same
Mhm.
feeling that you get in kind of a scene, like a big or a longer scene. And so it's, he was very much like, check in with me. If you need something from me, don't hesitate to call me, even if it's tomorrow. So it's,
Yeah.
you're taking care of
He
that
sounds
person.
like a
Yeah.
great
It's
guy.
it's again like it's so different than, just like hooking up with someone and they just want to pull my hair a little bit, right? Like,
Right.
you know,
Right. And then he doesn't
exactly. And
Sounds
call
then
like
he
you
a
for
ghosts
weeks.
you.
Yeah.
very loving, very
Yes.
loving first date. That's what it
It's
sounds
not a
like to
first
me.
date,
Wow.
but I mean, it definitely it is an experience, and all of those things, like because I felt safe, because I knew I could stop it at any time, because he took care of me
Mhm.
afterwards. Like
And he's asking, like, your
exactly,
level. So,
where
do
are
you
you?
want
Where are you
higher?
at?
Do you what is
Yeah.
this for you? Yeah,
Because,
where are you now?
as women, like,
Yeah,
sometimes like,
yeah.
depending on our hormones or when our period is, like, sometimes we are like,
Mhm.
give me that pain," and then sometimes, like, anything can hurt a lot. So it's important every time you
Yeah,
establish
yeah.
those boundaries. That's what it you establish those
Mhm.
boundaries and say, "This is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is what I'm good with." And it can
Mhm.
change week to week, night to night, like, depending on how
Right.
often you do it. But,
That's
yeah,
so
it's
interesting.
And I think that's one of the issues when it comes to marriage is a lot of times wives are so busy with kids and work and lives, they don't know what they want. And you ask them and they feel like it's
Yeah.
pressure to know what they want because
Mhm.
they don't know. And communication pretty much is impossible when it comes to that. So I don't know how to,
Mhm.
I'm curious to break it apart where, hey, this is a scene and we're communicating
mhm,
about this scene when life is happening over here, and to
yeah,
break the two
Mhm.
apart, which I guess it would be an
yeah,
escape if you
definitely an
could,
escape.
Right.
in theory.
Again, I think it's,
Mhm.
I've had very short sessions, scenes in a way. Um,
Mhm.
it all depends. Like they don't all have to be long. Um, there's ways to kind of
Right.
do it, and especially once you've gotten to know that person more, like you kind of know how to get them in
Mhm.
that mindset. It's same thing. Just having vanilla sex, like what's going to get your partner in the mood. You know what needs to happen to get that set up, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it's again, so much of it is just those bases of communication and trust and having those
Yeah.
little bitty conversations and just introducing things slowly and researching things together and talking about things together and
Mhm.
creating that safe place where that person can be vulnerable with you. Because I think
Yeah.
again, it's why it has been easy for me with people I don't know as well is because I don't know them as well. It's not as scary,
Yeah.
right? And when you've been with
Mhm.
someone for
Mhm.
so
It is
long,
very
it's
scary.
scary.
Yes.
It's scary.
Right. What if he thinks I'm a freak? What if she thinks
Yeah.
I'm a freak, you know? Like you just yeah, you don't know if you're going to break some of that trust just by trying to open up a bit, but I think if you have some of that foundation already, I mean, Remy, to your point, if we are very busy working moms, and it's kind of hard to know what I want sometimes until I'm in the moment. But that's why Brad and I try to debrief a little bit more often than I think most, because afterwards I will say, I feel like I'm just
Mhm.
hormonal. I don't have an answer for this. I don't know why I didn't want this or that. It's okay to just say that
Mhm.
I didn't know, because that in and of itself helps for him to understand that I'm not like holding back on him. I genuinely am trying to figure out
Mhm.
my body just as much as he is. So we have those conversations in little bits and pieces where I can be open and figure out what I want, and then he can kind of tell me, "Well, I think that you like this." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that worked really well. Like maybe try that again,
Sometimes like
whatever."
I need to be told in a way. Like literally like my brain
Yes.
cannot make another decision. Like I think that's when
Yes. Amen,
men
girl.
get frustrated with women because they're like, "What do you want to where do you want to go have dinner? What do you want for dinner?" And like I'm not telling you I
Mhm.
don't know because I don't know.
I
Like literally
Oh my
I
god.
don't know. Like
Yeah.
please
Right.
don't ask me.
Just pick
And so
something.
maybe that's what it is. If
Yeah.
you know your wife has had a tough, stressful week, it's, you know what, baby? I'm gonna, why don't we pull out the restraints? And I'm gonna restrain you and I'm gonna take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to take care of
I'm
you.
gonna lick you from
Mhm.
head to
Mhm.
toe.
I'm gonna try that.
I'm gonna, I am
Yeah,
gonna
but
make you
Honey,
come
Brad.
until you are begging me to stop. I am gonna lick you like, yeah, it's,
Love it.
and maybe that's what she needs. And so
I
it's
love it.
starting
Mhm.
small. It's making
Mhm.
that decision for
Mhm.
her. Or maybe for him. Maybe the guy wants like
Mhm.
a lot of men also like it.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys that like being submissive too.
Mhm. Yeah.
every guy likes being licked
I
head
think
to toe.
everyone should
I
like to be
promise.
licked head to toe.
I know, right?
And maybe again, maybe she's not in the right, but that might also help her get in the right mindset. If she's not
Mhm.
there, because there's that, I mean, it's so
Yeah.
much for women, again, especially like, am I gonna orgasm or not tonight? Like, do I have the energy to like
Mhm.
do this?
Mhm.
It does.
It takes
And so having
energy.
someone come and say, like, I'm gonna do this. Let's do I already the kids are already
Mhm.
in bed. I took care of that for you. Here's your glass of wine.
Yeah.
I got the restraints out. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is about
Mhm.
you.
Mhm. And like no expectation either. Like if you don't orgasm, that's fine. But we're just going to
Mhm.
have you relax.
I'm
And
just
I get to
gonna
lick on a
orgasm on
body.
your
You know what?
face.
You know what, baby? I'm gonna start with a little massage. I'm gonna use
Yeah.
that little massage gun on your back and then I'm gonna roll you over and I'm gonna put
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
I got you, girl.
Winter. Girl. Yeah,
Mhm.
just keep
There's
talking.
find what works for your partner. I think that's such a big piece of it. Like,
Right.
because they might not be into any of that.
Mhm.
Or it could be like, honey, I
Right.
already did the
Right.
dishes. Thank you for cooking that dinner. That was such an amazing dinner. It was so
Mhm.
good. It's like the best lasagna you ever made.
Mhm.
And I already took care of the dishes. Why don't you go relax? I made a
Yeah.
bath for you and go relax
Hmm.
while I put the kids down.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna
Hmm.
Mhm.
tie
That
you
Yeah.
up.
sounds
I'm
nice.
gonna blindfold you. We're gonna get out the
Mhm.
wax. We're gonna, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about the wax and a lot of these other terms. We'll have to get into that on our next episode. Before we close out, what are the two websites? We'll put them on the show notes for sure, but definitely can't wait to continue this conversation because I feel like we're just getting started.
The spreadsheet one is on a website called like Bad Girls Bible. So again, she can do her
Oh,
research.
cute.
Um,
Some
oh
checklist.
yeah, so the
Dang.
Nice.
BDSM test, it's just bdsmtest.org, and go to
Okay.
that, and it'll tell you what you might be into or what you might not be into. It's again, it's such a great way of like you don't know what you don't know. Maybe you might be into it,
Mhm.
but you don't know.
Mhm.
You didn't even know that was an option because you got married when you were 25 and you were young and dumb and inexperienced. Like,
Yeah,
you
girl.
don't know.
Mhm. But if you want to continue growing with your partner and you know that you don't want to wake up 30, 40 years from now with the kids out of the house and look at a stranger, then you gotta try. You've got to work with each other on it. You don't have to try everything under the sun, but I think it's so important for you to talk to each other about, okay, what is it that you like? What do I like?
Mhm.
I don't even know what I like. Okay, let's start with what you do and see if that works for me. I mean, I think it just has to be a continual conversation. Winter, I feel like this is a part one of many, love. We've got a lot more to talk about, so we're gonna close this one out, but there is much more to come, and I appreciate you giving us a little bit more insight into a world that maybe some of us have not explored yet, but I think this is a good way to just slightly open that door for some of us who are just curious. So I appreciate that. I know Remy and Brad do as well. We love you and we can't wait for you to come back. And for those of you who are curious as well, listen in for more because I'm sure there's more fun stories and excitement that we have on the way. And until then, we are wishing you all the best of your very own suburban sex.